Kieran Matthews locked the glass doors of his firm and stood for a moment, staring at the empty lobby. The Christmas tree his assistant had insisted on putting up glowed softly in the corner, its silver ornaments blending perfectly with the sleek modern space. Everything around him spoke of success: the marble floors, designer furniture, and the awards neatly lining the walls. At 39, he had achieved everything he'd ever planned: CEO of a thriving investment firm, a penthouse with endless city views, and enough wealth to buy anything he desired. His face often appeared in business magazines, always with that practiced, confident smile that projected control. It was Christmas Eve, and he was the last person left in the building. His employees had gone home hours ago to families, parties, and warmth. Kieran had stayed late because there was nothing waiting for him at home except silence. His parents had retired to Florida years ago. His sister lived in London, and they barely spoke beyond polite messages. Relationships had come and gone, none surviving his obsession with work and success. Outside, snow blanketed the city in white. Pulling his coat tighter, Kieran stepped into the quiet street, the cold biting at his skin. The holiday lights reflected off the snow, creating a scene that should have been beautiful, but to him, it only deepened the emptiness. As he walked toward his car, he noticed a young woman huddled in the doorway of a closed shop, trying to shield herself from the wind. Her thin coat was no match for the cold, her blonde hair damp with melted snow. She looked about 20-something, and she was shivering. People passed her by without a glance. Kieran almost did the same, but something made him stop. Maybe the date, maybe the loneliness pressing on him, maybe the quiet way she seemed to apologize for even existing. He crouched down beside her. "Are you all right?" The woman looked up, her blue-green eyes weary but alert. "I'm fine," she said softly. "You don't look fine," he replied. "When did you last eat?" "I'm managing," she said with quiet pride. "I don't need charity." "It's Christmas Eve," Kieran said. "No one should be alone and freezing tonight. Let me at least buy you a warm meal." She studied him for a long moment, trying to decide if he was genuine or not. "Why do you care?" she finally asked. "Most people don't even see me." "Maybe because I know what it's like to be invisible," he said. They found a small diner still open a few blocks away. Over coffee and hot soup, she told him her name Emma and her story. She had been a teacher once. 2 years earlier, her fiancé copyright had died in a car accident, and grief had destroyed everything: her job, her home, her stability. For 8 months, she had lived on the streets, working odd jobs, trying to rebuild. "I know I look like a failure," she said quietly. "Like I deserve this." "That's not what I see," Kieran said. "I see someone who's still trying to survive something unbearable." "Surviving isn't living," she said. "I just exist, day to day. I don't even remember what hope feels like." Her words struck something in him. He realized how long he'd been doing the same: surviving, not living. "Where will you go tonight?" he asked. "There's a shelter a mile from here," she said. "If they still have space." The snow outside was falling harder, the temperature dropping fast. Letting her walk away into the storm felt wrong. "Come stay at my place," he said suddenly. Emma looked at him, shocked. "I can't. I live alone in a 3-bedroom penthouse," he said. "You can have your own room, lock on the door, hot shower, safe and warm for one night." "You don't even know me," she said. "I could rob you." "You could," Kieran admitted, "but I don't think you will. And even if you did, it's just stuff. What matters is that you'll be safe." Her eyes filled with tears. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I was going home to an empty apartment to eat takeout alone and pretend it doesn't bother me," he said. "Because maybe helping you helps me too. Stay for just one night. Maybe we'll both feel a little less alone." She hesitated, then nodded. Just one night. Kieran's penthouse was everything Emma imagined wealth looked like, and nothing like a home. Floor-to-ceiling windows, designer furniture, and silence. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It's cold," Kieran said. "I never made it a home, just a place to sleep." He gave her fresh towels, a room of her own, and dry clothes. An hour later, she came out wearing his sweater and sweatpants, her hair drying, her face soft with relief. "I forgot what hot water felt like," she said, almost crying. They ate takeout in the living room, the city lights twinkling behind them. "Tell me about your fiancé copyright," Kieran said. And she did. She told him about David, their plans, their love, and how everything shattered in a single night. She spoke of the depression that followed, the people she pushed away, and the numbness that never left. I couldn't save him, she whispered. And I couldn't save myself. Maybe you don't need to save yourself, Kieran said. Maybe you just need to take one step forward until you remember how to walk again. Is that what you're doing? She asked. I've been standing still for years, he said quietly. Building things, achieving things, but never moving toward anything that matters. What would matter? Connection, purpose, someone to care about, someone who cares about me. The things I told myself I didn't need. They talked all night at two lonely people finding solace in each other's honesty. Emma spoke of her students and the joy of teaching. Kieran confessed how he'd let his family drift away. When morning came, Emma said she should go. What if you didn't? Kieran asked. What if you stayed a few more days, just until you're stronger? I can't take advantage of your kindness. You're not. I'm asking. Let me help you find your footing. Call it my Christmas gift to both of us. She studied him. What do you get out of it? The chance not to be alone, he said. The chance to care about something real. So she stayed. One night became a week, then two. Kieran helped her get new documents, connected her with a position in his company's training department, and co-signed her lease for a small apartment. They healed together. Emma helped Kieran rediscover joy in simple things: a coffee, conversation, laughter. Kieran gave Emma the stability she lost and the reminder that she was still worthy of love and life. I think we were meant to find each other, she said one evening as they cooked together. Maybe we were, Kieran replied. Over time, their friendship deepened into something real, something built on mutual respect and genuine care. A year after that snowy night, they married in a small ceremony. Emma had rebuilt her career, and Kieran had learned to slow down and live. The penthouse, once sterile and silent, had become a warm, living home filled with laughter. On their first Christmas together as a married couple, they sat by the window watching the snow. Do you remember what you said that first night? Emma asked. Can you stay for just one night? I remember, Kieran said, holding her close. I stayed for one night, she smiled. Then another, until one night became forever. You saved my life that Christmas Eve. You saved mine too, he said. I was drowning in success and starving for connection. You showed me that none of it means anything without someone to share it with. Sometimes the greatest gifts come in the most unexpected forms: a lonely CEO, a homeless woman in the snow, and one small act of kindness that changed everything. Because sometimes, saving someone else is how we end up saving ourselves. Snow fell softly over the city once again. A year after Kieran and Emma's first Christmas as husband and wife, their home, once sterile and silent, now glowed with warmth. Laughter echoed through the halls, and the scent of cinnamon and pine filled the air. Emma had transformed the penthouse in ways Kieran never imagined. There were now photographs on the walls, not of awards or business events, but of memories. A snapshot of their small wedding, a picture of them laughing in the kitchen covered in flour, a framed drawing one of Emma's students had given her that read, "You make learning fun." Kieran had changed too. He still ran his company, but it no longer ruled him. He'd learned to delegate, to trust, to let go. On Fridays, he left work early to cook dinner with Emma. Sometimes they went for walks through the park, even in the cold, holding hands as if still afraid to let the other disappear. But life, as it always does, had other plans. It started subtly: Emma forgetting small things, a meeting date, where she'd left her keys, what she had come into the room to say. At first, they both laughed it off. I'm just tired, she'd say. Too many things on my mind. Then came the day she got lost on her way home from the grocery store only a few blocks away. When Kieran found her, she was standing on a street corner, tears freezing on her cheeks. I knew where I was going, she whispered, shaking. And then I didn't. Doctors, tests, waiting rooms. As the days blurred together, the diagnosis came softly but hit like thunder. Early onset neurological degeneration, the kind that stole memory slowly, piece by piece, leaving the shell of a person before taking the rest. For a long time, neither of them spoke about it. Emma went back to teaching, determined to hold on to normalcy as long as she could. Kieran pretended everything was fine, throwing himself into research, second opinions, anything that sounded like hope. One night, as they sat on the couch watching snow fall beyond the windows at the same view that had witnessed their first shared meal, Emma turned to him and said quietly, "You don't have to stay." Kieran looked at her, stunned. "What are you talking about?" "I know what's coming," she said, her eyes shimmering, "and I don't want you to watch me disappear. You saved me once. You don't have to save me again." He reached for her hand, his voice breaking. "Emma, I didn't fall in love with you because you were whole or perfect. I fell in love with you because you stayed, because you taught me how to live. You don't walk away from the person who gave you your life back." Tears spilled down her face, and she whispered, "I'm scared." "So am I," he said. "But we'll be scared together." The months that followed were filled with small, deliberate acts of love. Kieran read to her every night, sometimes her favorite novels, sometimes just short stories. They cooked together, even when she forgot the recipes. On the hard days, when frustration and confusion took over, he held her close until it passed. And on the good days, when she laughed freely, when her eyes were bright with recognition, it felt like the world itself paused to give them that moment. One morning, near Christmas, Kieran woke to find Emma sitting by the window, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the falling snow. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "It reminds me of something, a broken bar, but I can't remember what." Kieran sat beside her. "It's the night we met," he said. "You were sitting in the snow, and I almost walked past you." She turned to him with a faint smile. "And you didn't?" "No," he said. "I never will." He took her hand, holding it tightly as they watched the snow fall together, silent, peaceful, endless. As the years went on, Emma's memory continued to fade, but Kieran never stopped talking to her, never stopped loving her. Even when she no longer knew his name, she still smiled whenever he entered the room. Somewhere, deep inside, she still recognized the man who had once stopped in the snow and chosen kindness. And Kieran, now the man who had once measured success in wealth, learned that love was the only legacy worth leaving behind. Because sometimes, the story doesn't end when the fairy tale begins. Sometimes it continues in the quiet acts of devotion that follow, the promise kept long after the vows are spoken, the love that endures when memory fades. One night, years later, as snow fell once more outside the window, Kieran whispered into the soft stillness, "Can you stay for just one night?" And though she no longer spoke, Emma turned toward him, eyes glistening, and smiled, as if some part of her still remembered that single night when everything had begun.